guys and gals, and welcome to another video from the team here at BlenderTech.com. If you enjoyed or learned something from the video, consider liking it and consider subscribing for more Blender, Unity 3D, coding, and all sorts of other CG related videos. Lastly, don't forget our motto, create your way. So today I wanted to build on, well, not necessarily build on our mouse look and, well, our player movement script, but I wanted to show you how to make a binocular functionality in Unity, because I've paid for some courses that have gone into doing this extremely complicated, and I see a lot of people online asking this question all the time and not always getting clear examples. So this is really quite basic, and I'm going to walk you through it. It's essentially going to be a code giveaway, but I'm going to explain everything very well. So the effect we'll be getting in the end is basically we have the player that can look around and moves around wherever he's looking, can strafe, back, forward, and he can run. We set that up in our player movement script, and if you are interested in that, watch those videos. Obviously we still have work to do because it's not a very good player movement script, but it was the beginnings. It was the simple script that we started with. But I've added now a binocular functionality, so at any time when we right click and hold it down, we get zoomed in just like that. Now, this is set by smooth view, so if I set this to 1, you see we get a very slow zoom. I haven't reset this script. My stock value is 4.5, so this is what it looks like stock. And it automatically resizes to any screen size. So if I resize this game view bigger, it still fits within the view. So let me show you how this is done. So all I did was create a new C# script, and this can be very easily done in JavaScript. I could definitely show you how, but a new C# script, which I attached to the main camera. And once I attached it to the main we'll go into that after actually. So yeah, I made a new binocular script called Binoculars, and I attached it to the main camera, the one that our player uses to see, and it's a child of the player, so it's parented to the player. So opening up the binocular script, again, remember I use Visual Studio, but it's no different than Mono behavior. The only difference is I can debug on the fly. So everything is like a regular script. It's quite simple. So we have our variables up at the top here. So I've explained them with comments. So anyways, the first two are integers, and they could be floats if you wanted, but I like to keep field of view at whole numbers. So basically these are just field of view values. All the binocular script is doing is changing the camera's field of view to make it appear as if it's zooming in or out. So we have an integer called zoomed in, and so it changes the field of view to 25. And then we have an integer called zoomed out, and it changes the field of view to 60, which is Unity's stock field of view. Then we have another variable, which is a Boolean variable, so it's either true or false, nothing else, called isZoomed. So this basically just checks or defines if we're zoomed in or not. Then we have a float value, and this could be an integer too, but I like to use a float here for being able to tweak it a little more precisely, called smooth view. And so basically this just, as I showed you, it just adjusts how fast you zoom in and out. And so I've set it to 4.5, and then the F just means that it's a float variable. And then lastly, we have a texture 2D variable, which is basically attaches our texture, our 2D texture, so just a basic PNG image, to a variable name, which is called binoc image. And before I get any further, I guess I should show you that in my assets folder under materials, I was originally using GUI textures to do this, so I should just call this folder textures. And so in my materials slash textures folders, I just have this binocular image. It's a 1024 by 1024 image with just two circles cut out that are transparent. So it's got an alpha channel and the rest of it is black. And when I imported it, you just want to make sure that alpha is transparency is checked off. So basically all your settings are like this. Your anisotropic level can be 0 to 16. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but obviously 16 makes the biggest difference. And compressed and true color wouldn't really make a difference here, but 16 bits I think would be needed for the alpha channel. I'm not completely sure on that. So that's how I imported it. It's just a basic PNG. You could use anything else though that Unity supported. Moving on, back to the script. We don't have anything in the start function. However, I'm going to bring up a new function to you guys. So yeah, the OnGUI function. Basically, we're gonna say that if we're zoomed in, so if the variable is zoomed is equal to true, so if we're zoomed in, if we're holding the right mouse button down, essentially is what that's saying, then use the GUI.draw texture method to draw our binocular image texture. And then this line of code right here, new rect, is what you use for all GUI based stuff. And 0 and 0 is just anchoring it basically in the top left corner of the screen. And then screen.width and screen.height is the width and height of the image. So this allows it to stretch to whatever size your game is being played at. Now moving on to the actual workhorse of this script, I guess you could call it. I didn't have to do it this way again, but again, I want to kind of show you or introduce to you guys, get you in the habit of building your own functions. So every frame, it just calls the check zoom function. So that's maybe not the most efficient, but it works for now anyways. So the check zoom function, so what it's calling every frame, is all this right here. So basically right here, if input.getMouseButton 1 being the second mouse button, because when you're coding, obviously everything starts with 0, so 0 is the left mouse button, 1 is the right mouse button, or sorry, yeah, and 2 is the third mouse button. And so if input.getMouseButton is not get mouse button down or up, just get mouse button, that way only as long as it's held. However, if you wanted to make it a toggle, you could use if input.get mouse button down, and then if input.get mouse button up. You could make a toggle. You can make it a toggle essentially. So as long as the right mouse button is held, so this is just an if-else statement. So if the right mouse button is held, then we're going to change the camera's field of view, so camera.field of view, to our zoomed in value. Now we could have basically gotten rid of all of this math.lerp stuff to keep it simpler, but that would not allow us to have that zooming in and out smoothness. It would just draw on the screen instantly one frame and then it'd be gone the next frame. So what mathf.lerp does, again, you can search this up in the Unity scripting API. Basically it just interpolates between an A and B value based on a time. So I'm taking I'm taking the camera field of view, the value of zoomed in, which in our case is 25, and then the time that I'm using to interpolate between the stock 60 field of view and the zoomed in value of 25 is time.delta time. So just the change in time multiplied by our smooth view value so that we can adjust it, if that makes sense. And then after that, as long as the rightmost button is held down, then it changes the field of view and it sets it, our variable is zoomed to true. So when it sets that variable to true, then since it's calling this every frame, then it's gonna draw our GUI part, because if is zoomed equals true, then it's gonna draw that on the screen. And this can be used for heads-up displays and stuff like that too. Anyways, so our if-else statement, so the if part is there, and then otherwise else, we just change the field of view back to stock, which is 60 unity stock, so that's the zoomed out value. It works exactly the same. And then we just set the variable is zoomed to false, and so thus the OnGUI function won't be called, because if is zoomed is true is obviously the conditions aren't being met, so it's not going to draw. So every single frame it's going to check if it should draw the texture on the screen or not, and it's going to check if it should change the field of view or not. So it's really quite simple. The entire script is right there for you guys. I think you can see that all there. So yeah, very quite simple, and a lot simpler than some stuff I've seen on the web, and just something interesting I thought I would share very quickly, and it doesn't have to get to be too long because it's really quite simple. And so you could customize your texture. Oh, I guess I should say, well, on that topic, after you've set your entire script up, you need to go to your camera where you have your Binocular script attached to, and then again, this should be 4.5, that's my stock value. You need to set the binocular image. So since that's a 2D texture, you can either drag and drop one onto it, or you can press this little circle button and you can search for a texture within your assets folder and double click on it to set it. So if you didn't do that, then we'd get nothing. But you see, if I change it just some random other texture, then when I right click, it gets drawn instead. That gives you some ideas. And you can see the field of view changing to here too. Notice how it smoothly changes to 20 and then smoothly goes back to 60. And you see that is zoomed is going true and false. And also, if we change this to say like 100 to get instant zoom, watch the field of view, it just instantly changes. So depending on what you wanted, and you could also turn that down to say like 0.5, and you could get that really slow like sniper scope zoom in kind of look. But anyways, yeah, you can totally customize your texture. You could make this. You can use this for gun scopes and such, and you could customize your texture to have crosshairs on it or whatever. Whatever works. And since this is using the OnGUI function, you can add all other sorts of stuff. You can add buttons to this. You can add text that's changing. You could have, say, like a distance marker from wherever the center of the screen is or whatever. So you could have like a rangefinder. There's all sorts of things you could do. And on the topic of using it as a scope, if you want to put it on a gun, basically, yeah, just whatever camera it's attached to is how this is working, because it's changing the camera's field of view. So if you have a gun When you right click, it enables, say, a secondary camera for the scope. Then you can just use the same idea. Pretty simple. So yeah, that is all. I'm going to stop rambling now. I hope you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching from the team here at BlenderTech.com. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like it and consider subscribing for more videos. We're on Twitter at twitter.com/blender_tech and Facebook at facebook.com/blendertech page, all one word. If you dislike this video for some reason, don't just hit the thumbs down button and leave. Instead, please leave a comment, or if it's private, email us at info@blendertech.com about what you did not like, so we can continually improve our videos based on your community input. We also take requests for tutorials and call for help. So if you're having an issue or you want to see something, let us know. So see you next time. Remember, create your way.